Hey Common Table, what's up? It's Pastor Josh. Wanted to give you an update about a few things that are happening, and since I'm doing this at home, I thought it would give you a little glimpse into what quarantine life has been like for me. First of all, spend a lot of time outside in our backyard, which is awesome. Also get to spend some time with my wonderful wife, Laura, who is currently over hanging out with her bees. I'm not going to get any closer because they terrify me and they've stung me before. I also spend quite a bit of time hanging out with my wonderful dogs. Here's Scout and here's Jovi. Jovi's crazy. All right, let me put you down so you don't get, motion sickness for the last part of this video. Listen, I do want to take a little time to acknowledge the fact that life isn't all just hanging out in the backyard right now. It's not just spending time with our family and our pets. There's some serious stuff that I think we need to talk about. Laura shared with me an article from the Harvard Business Review called "That Emotion You're Feeling is Grief." And in the article, they interviewed Dr. David Kessler, who's a grief expert. He co-wrote the book Grief and Grieving with world-renowned psychiatrist Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. And they asked Dr. Kessler in the article to kind of explain what emotionally is going on for us. And he says that a lot of us are probably experiencing grief, and he thinks it's important to name that. While we haven't all lost someone due to this virus, while we haven't all lost our jobs, we are all experiencing grief in some way. We're experiencing loss. We're experiencing kind of the loss of just normalcy. We're experiencing the economic kind of roller coaster right now. We're experiencing the loss of social connection. And maybe in addition to those losses that we're experiencing, we're also experiencing this anticipatory grief. It's this idea that like there's something foreboding, something bad out there in the distance. This storm is coming, the storm is brewing. And I think the season of Lent is a season of anticipatory grief. It's this time when we kind of turn our eyes to the wilderness of life, to the pain of life, and specifically it all builds up to this moment on Good Friday when we remember the pain and the agony and the hell that God goes through on the cross. And I think in some ways there's great solace in knowing that the grief and the pain and the loss and the uncertainty and all of that, all of those emotions, that God himself has experienced those things through Jesus. But at the same time, the season of Lent doesn't define our story, because our story is defined by Easter, by the resurrection, by this ability for us in the midst of the bad things that are happening in our lives to say Alleluia anyway. In the midst of a pandemic, we can say Alleluia anyway. In the midst of loss and social disconnection, we can say Alleluia anyway. In the midst of whatever happens in our lives, in the midst of the worst thing that can happen in our lives, we can say Alleluia anyway. Maybe not right away, maybe not for a long time, but we have that opportunity because Jesus has conquered death. That's what we celebrate on Easter, and that's what we're going to celebrate as we continue to gather together, and we're going to say Alleluia anyways. On Sunday mornings when we gather for worship on Zoom, this Sunday we're going to start broadcasting on Facebook Live as well. We're going to keep meeting in our table groups. We're going to meet for Holy Week and gather together virtually only. We're going to be gathering virtually through the end of April. And we're also going to try to do some things that are special, that are kind of unique, that hopefully bring some life in the midst of this loss and this season of uncertainty. One of the things I'm really excited about is that we're going to be putting up this cross in our memorial garden. And in the cross is going to be decorated throughout Holy Week to kind of tell the story. Since nobody's going to be in the sanctuary telling the story that has been told in that building, in Decatur for, 50, 60 some years. We wanted some way to be able to tell the story, the good news, the anticipatory hope of Easter. And so we're going to put up this cross. We're going to decorate it throughout Holy Week, and then on Easter Saturday and on Easter Sunday, we're going to invite you, Common Table folks, and also folks from the neighborhood to bring flowers from their gardens, from their yards, and to decorate this cross to make it this living testimony. Now, y'all will need to stay like 6 feet apart from each other and practice all that social distancing, and please don't do this and don't come out if you're not feeling well and all that stuff. But I think this is an awesome opportunity for us to share in the witness of Easter and the hope of Easter, to be able to say Alleluia anyway in a very visible way for our community as we go through this time. So I'm excited to share some of that with you in the coming weeks, and I'm excited to gather together on Sunday for worship. We'll see you on Sunday at 10 a.m. God bless.